Hi, I'm Colby Talfus, the MLB Showdown guru. This is the Play for the Card segment. In this segment, we're going to be looking at players for the 2012 season and seeing how their cards project for the next year. Right now, we're going to be focusing on shortstops, which is just a dying class overall. As I look at the charts, nobody really even projects to have a 400-point card. Nobody's really looking to bat in the middle of many formidable orders. For that reason, we're going to be looking at getting a lot of functional players, players that will fit into lineups in different ways and be useful without really being those 500-point catch-all players who can do everything. It really does hurt to lose Tulowitzki for the year with injuries and to lose Hanley Ramirez to being shifted to third base for this class. This class has heavily relied on the two of them for the past 3 years. So to have both of them not be big contributors really is going to hurt the class. But other people can step up and have productive cards because we're going to need them to, because they're going to have to bat in our lineup somewhere. The first guy who has a very clear role, it looks like, is Elvis Andrus. He is right now a very high 9, has a chance if he gets his on base up even higher to be a 10. He'll have a plus 20 speed, likely a 21. He won't have a home run, so he's going to be a very good leadoff hitter if he can do all those things. If he stays at about the 9 range, he'll still be a very useful player, very cheap speed A, which will have a lot of use for people who are trying to steal bases. He is likely one of the more useful players in this coming year. He just needs to keep his on base up. The next player who needs to bump up one of his stats is Drupal Cabrera. He's also looking to be a 9. He's really a tweener with 11 home runs right now. If you double that, saying we're halfway through, that puts him at 22. He's going to need to get a little bit hotter to likely get up to be a real power threat and maybe be the potential power option at the shortstop position. He's really kind of knocked at the door of trying to put himself in that big next time shortstop discussion, and he's never been able to break through. If these next 80 some odd games he could do that, then he really has a chance to maybe take the place of Tulowitzki. If not, then it's just going to be an average class because a lot of the power of this class relies on him. The last 9 at the current moment is Derek Jeter, which is just amazing to me. This guy was a 10 back in 2000. He was a 10 in 2001. He was a 10 in 09. This guy has had incredible cards for an extended period of time, and to think that he's doing better than a lot of younger players still is amazing. He has 7 home runs right now. He's likely going to fall, either have no home run or have a 20 home run. My guess is he'll end up with enough to have a 20 for a home run. He also doesn't have a whole lot of doubles with 16, but he does have 111 hits. He'll likely be a great pinging option at shortstop. He'll really be a run producer more than a run scorer, which is what the Yankees use him for right now, leading off. After that, we're dropping down into what looks like it's going to be the 8 range, which is pretty full and a little bit jumbled right now to find productive players. You have a guy like Jose Reyes, who had an 8 with 22 or 23 speed, may have some uses, but not nearly as useful as when he was a 10. He's doing pretty well in Miami, but he's not getting that average up to where he could really be a force. He's going to need to do something to be more productive. On base is really going to be his key. He doesn't need as many extra base hits because of his speed, but his play style usually leads to him trying to get more extra base hits. A player that's interesting right now is Jed Lowry as an 8. He's batting 3rd for the Astros because they're horrible. He has 14 home runs. I don't see him getting 28 on the year. I just think he'll probably come up short. He'll probably end up right at the 20 range, and if I had to guess, he'll even end up shorter than 20. But he's got a good bit of power already under his belt. He's been doing pretty good. But then the more they take people out of that lineup, the more likely he might be able to get more walks and bump his on base up. We'll see what happens with him. And then the really interesting players are actually right now sitting below 8, and the option of maybe bringing some of these guys up if they can get their average up. The 2 guys I'm looking at right now are Ian Desmond, who has 17 home runs to lead all shortstops, but he's a 7. So are you going to pay for power for a 7 shortstop who doesn't field all that well? Not likely. He needs to get that average up, or he needs to get that on base up. Right now, he only has 16 walks on the year, which isn't really going to pump his on base up much. If he can get it up to where he's an 8, maybe a power 8 option. He looks like a much more usable player who could actually find some spots late in the order. You might even think about eating that really bad defense he has if you can supplement it with a second baseman. Another guy who's in very much a similar boat is Starlin Castro. A little bit more of a speed guy, a little bit more of an average guy. He's going to knock some runs in. He was batting in about the 310s a couple weeks ago. Now he's in the 291 range, which puts him way too low. Those 20 points really make a world of difference for a guy who only has 12 walks on the year. His 7 triples and 7 homers, he has a chance to have a really fun card, but it's not going to be very fun if he's only a 7. So he needs to get that up. He also needs to try to cut his errors down, which I don't see him doing. He and Desmond are going to be high risk, high reward players for a class that looks like it's going to be relatively deep, but not have a lot of top heavy talent. If you guys have any questions for the coming year, just please message me them on Twitter at MLB Showdown Guru, or you can send me an email. The email's all on the blog. You guys, next week we're going to be spending time on the third baseman, but don't limit your questions to that. Also, tune in tomorrow for Shots Friday and send your predictions in. Remember, everyone, play for the card.